Some say Professor Squeaky had died. Some say he was just f***ing lazy. Regardless, the stars have aligned and a new video is here.
Hey guys, Prof. Squeaky here, back with a new video. With the recent rumors that Smash might be getting a port on the Nintendo Switch with new characters, I figured it could be fun to discuss who those characters might be. Today I have 3 characters that I think are most likely candidates for newcomers. Keep in mind this is not a wish list, it's who I think is most likely to be added. Also, this list is not in any particular order, so the first character isn't necessarily more likely than the last in my eyes or anything. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments and tell me who you think is most likely. My aim with videos like these is to start discussion. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. Now this prediction is a little out there, but there's one series that has slowly crept up on Smash Bros, and that is Rhythm Heaven. This series now has 4 installments and has appeared a few suspicious times in Smash now. Infamously, the Chorus Kids were included in the Gamatsu leak, a series of rumors that very accurately predicted Smash Bros newcomers until Chrom from the Fire Emblem series was confirmed to not be a playable character. For a while, the last 3 characters listed by Gamatsu were Chrom from Fire Emblem, Shulk from Xenoblade Chronicles, and the Chorus Kids from Rhythm Heaven. My personal theory is that whoever the Gamatsu leaker was knew information from extremely early in development, which is why Chrom was listed but so many characters were predicted correctly. Sakurai has said that Chrom was originally considered to be a playable fighter, but Robin was chosen over him because Robin was more unique. The inclusion of the sneaky spirit enemy from the original Rhythm Heaven in Smash Run on the 3DS version also backs up that a Rhythm Heaven character was originally intended to be included, considering the polar bear from Ice Climber was also included in Smash Run, despite the Ice Climbers having to be removed from the game due to the 3DS's limitations. The Wii U version's files also implied that a Rhythm Heaven stage was originally intended to be in the game. 2 songs from the series, Monkey Watch and Bluebirds, were included as music for the Miiverse stage, so perhaps they were the remnants of Rhythm Heaven representation. So, perhaps from all of this, a Rhythm Heaven representative will finally get its chance to shine. Other than Karate Joe or the Rhythm Girl character, who have appeared as recurring characters in every Rhythm Heaven game to date, I do like the idea of the Chorus Kids. I imagine them being a sort of Mr. Game & Watch type of character, where they pull things out from all kinds of rhythm games to attack. I think it would also be funny if they ran around as one Chorus Kid, but the other 2 slid out for attacks like paper cutouts. If you're interested in seeing any more specific ideas about the Chorus Kids, I did a video talking about the 3 aforementioned final 3 of the Gamatsu leak. I'm actually very surprised these weren't included originally, either as regular DLC or via the fighter ballot. It's the Inklings from Splatoon. As soon as the game got announced, Splatoon was a super hyped new IP for Nintendo. Since it was so new, I figured the Squid Kids would be included in Smash as a sort of cross-promotion for Splatoon. We ended up only getting a few Mii Fighter costumes for them, but despite that, Splatoon is one of the best-selling Wii U games to date, and it seems to be getting an improved port on the Switch as well. Now I see that the Inklings would be likely candidates for playable characters in Smash, not for the purposes of promoting a new IP, but because Splatoon was so successful. Splatoon is super important and iconic to Nintendo at this point, and I would be once again surprised if they didn't make it in. Not to mention, with lots of unique music and locations, there would be a lot to pull from to create a stage to represent them. Since the game's announcement, I've imagined one based on Urchin Underpass that's sort of tiered in height, maybe with turf wars taking place with ink grenades, ink strikes, and other miscellaneous fire coming down onto the stage. One thing I think is important to consider is how the Inklings might be impossible to implement into Smash Bros. As you probably know, the Inklings attack by firing ink. The only liquids used in Smash to attack with are water, and even then, it's just a damageless knockback. I wonder how the Inklings' ink would behave during attacks, if it would somehow look heavier than the water. Maybe the attacks would have pushback? How would the ink covering the ground or even players be handled? One obvious answer would be that it simply wouldn't, but I feel like that's a very Sakurai reason to exclude them from the Smash roster. Just like how Ridley wouldn't be Ridley anymore if they had the size of Down, the Inklings would be lacking an incredibly important trait. If you're interested in an Inkling moveset, I made one a long time ago based solely on trailers before the game's release. I originally talked about their ink problem in that video if you want to hear more about that as well. I believe the Inklings have lots to take from to make a moveset between so many primary, secondary, and special weapons. I think it would just be a matter of establishing how their main mechanics would translate to Smash. There are a lot of Pokemon in Smash Bros. Now, but with Pokemon being more popular than ever with the release of Pokemon Go and the amazing Pokemon Sun and Moon, we could always use another, right? Right? Anyway, I know many people request Pokemon like Sceptile. Since we have a fire and water starter in the game already, why not complete the trio and add a grass starter? I've also recently seen requests for Decidueye from Sun and Moon using the same logic. However, I have a different idea for a Pokemon newcomer, and that is Mimikyu. Ever since its reveal, the Pokemon has gone from being a creepy Pikachu imitator to adorable. A ghost and fairy type, it tried to disguise itself as the popular Pikachu because it just wants to be loved. Honestly, Mimikyu kinda reminds me of Jigglypuff in that it's a weird side Pokemon that became really popular. We don't actually know what Mimikyu looks like under its costume, but it can slash at its opponents using a ghostly black claw, and its eyes even gleam when it attacks. Move over, villager. I imagine it would sort of shuffle around in battle, using its claws to attack and pull itself along the ground. Like Bowser Jr. actually takes less damage if you attack his clown car instead of his head, Mimikyu would take less damage if you attacked the head of its costume, as its in-game ability, Disguise, will block one attack guaranteed. Mimikyu also has access to moves like Swords Dance to buff its attack, Play Rough as a physical fairy type move, and even Thunderbolt just like Pikachu. I also imagine its Disguise going limp for it to use Shadow Sneak as its actual body pops up somewhere else to attack. Revealing its true self could also be its final smash, as it uses the Ghost-type Z move, Never Ending Nightmare. In other words, between its moves and odd body shape, there's a lot of potential to make Mimikyu a unique fighter. I think its popularity and the popularity of Sun and Moon would make it a likely newcomer for the Pokemon series, not to mention it would be kind of funny to see it fighting the actual Pikachu, in before Mimikyu is a cloned character. Well, there are the three characters that I think are most likely to appear as newcomers in Smash Switch. Of course, it's totally possible other characters will be included, such as characters that were highly requested in the fighter ballot, or even returning characters like the Ice Climbers or Wolf. I also considered talking about King K. Rool from the Donkey Kong series, who was highly requested in the fighter ballot and is an important part of the early Donkey Kong games, and Agnes Oblige from the Bravely Default series, since Bravely Default and Bravely Second were critically acclaimed and Nintendo advertised them so much. In the end, I decided K. Rool wasn't popular enough to be all that likely, and that I don't really know enough about Agnes or Bravely Default to talk about her here. Anyway, that's all for this video. Make sure to leave your opinions in the comments below, including the characters you think are most likely, and I'll see you next time.